All right, hey everyone, welcome to Granblue Radio, episode 303. We are just after Flash Gala. This is a relatively quiet Flash Gala, but anyway, all right. This is Vibrating Sheep. This is of Granblue underscore en on Twitter. DJ is in Japan for this episode, and will also be in Japan for the next episode. So I'm running solo. Well, next episode is going to fall on Thanksgiving anyway, so we'll do something else on for that one. But all right, so these are the things that we got this week. A few just small things, and then we're gonna talk about like the Sigman. But first, we talk about characters. We've got two new characters. One who is a long-awaited addition. Adam has been part of the game and the story for at least 5 years or so with the Airstay arc. Um, he got his first character version finally. Um, I wonder if this 2016 is a reference to how long he's been in the game, like when they introduced him to the game. I'm curious about that one. But anyway, he's not Grand. He's Earth, as expected from a Golem character being made from Earth. Um, but yeah, so what we've got is a tank, an Earth tank, and he's a relatively simple one. Um, but there's a lot of things about the context to this where it's like Earth tank is it's a field role. it's it's Summer Alex if you need it. And so the things that they're doing to try and make this character relevant, they give him more offensive utility. So anyway, here's his passes. This is how he tanks. So here's the ultimate golem. He takes 5,000 damage per hit from water at max. Um, they've given him a 2-turn water cut, so the Lily and the Sarunan water cut here. That's on an 8-turn cooldown, which is, the old design there. And then here's his main defensive slash offensive utility here. So here's Indomitability. It's an 18-turn cooldown. When it goes off of, let's see here. When it upgrades, it's a 16-turn cooldown. So it's a 16-turn cooldown. You're pressing this once, and it gives him the following things. And it gives everybody the following things. I'm sorry. So it's CA damage up, which is 30%, CA damage cap up 10%, and then a 10% uplift to your entire team. Ends on taking damage 2 times. So if you have the shield, which is 10,000 protecting you, then you'll be able to take a certain amount of beating, and you will be able to have continuous uplift. You'll have CA cap up. It's a hard sell to put this over Satyr, because she also gives you uplift and CA cap and things like that. Anyway, and then here's a dispel. It's a double dispel while he is at 80% HP or higher. And he has a passive with Hardworking Prime Minister. When he is at high health and stays at high health, then everybody gets 30% attack, 50% defense, 20% double attack, 10% triple attack. The 50% passive defense is actually like what you're kind of hoping that he will do when he's tanking for you. Is that sort of like the Athena style of everybody else takes less damage. Um, Whether this is actually going to make a splash, I don't know. It's hard to see this doing much right now. It's solid, but solid, Earth is a land of monsters, and when your overall damage reducer is Satyr, who also has this same style of offensive utility for the rest of your team. Like the meter is something that Satyr gives you. Um, the dispel is something that Satyr gives you, but she also takes care of debuffs, which is something that Watercut doesn't cover. Yeah, all of Satyr's buffs should stack with Adam, so you could go double CA tank. it's really hard to crack the CA like forever team because of how much survivability that Ayada also gives you. Because like the engine is very hard to break right now. The engine is, and people have seen this team a billion times before. Where'd it go? Where'd I put it? It's around here somewhere. There it is. We've got Satyr. We've got Monica, who gives you more than 30 meter every time she CAs in order to plug all this together. And 8, who gives you a huge number of buffs when he chain bursts, and a dispel cancel. And so it's like, when you're CAing, when you get this engine rolling, the engine just doesn't stop rolling. Can he take Valentine's Monica's spot if you don't have Valentine's Monica? Probably. You're going to do worse, though. Significantly worse. So, I mean, like I said, this is all very solid. There's nothing wrong with this kit. It does so much utility. It boosts everybody's defense, it boosts everybody's multi-attack and meter gain. But a 16 turn cooldown on this, and like the ease at which it can be broken down, like 2 big hits takes it down on him. And then, 2 big hits in 16 turns is something that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. There's no real dream here. There's just sort of a long, slow grind of value. It's hard to sell a more defense character in Earth when most of the high Earth teams just block with your face and laugh. Yeah, he doesn't have a way to cheat his cooldowns like Fediel does. Like, I'm not saying the character's bad. I am never going to say that about a character who's not bad. It's just that, once again, he walks in a land full of monsters, and so some people are they were hoping that as a story important character, he would be grand and be given the Earth Grand treatment because, when you think about the land of monsters that is Earth Grand, right, where it's like SSR, Earth, Series, Grand, like. All right, so Eugen has recently been buffed, and he does absolute gobs of CA damage plus nuke. Golden Knight, great. Kane, bad. These 2 on the bottom, like these 4 out of the 6, crazy good. And then you go into like summer, and you also venture into a land full of monsters. Mostly this one and this one. You add in like holiday. We got a monster over here. There's just so many different styles of how to tank, and the thing about this is that you then sort of think about how they're going to 5-star Sarah at the end of the month, because it's like, the problem is that when you need an Earth tank, you have an Earth tank. When you need an Earth like overall damage reducer, you have an overall damage reducer for that. Are they gonna make her like the skill-based tank, where she'll like do a sort of Reinhardt Tsar thing, where every time she gets targeted, she'll just do a bunch of nukes? Like, are they gonna give her the Cove treatment? Does Earth actually benefit from having like a Co-style character even? Given like one of the reasons Ko is succeeding is because of his context, where Dark didn't have this kind of character, right? Like, Dark needed this, and this is unique to Dark at the moment. But in Earth, like, once again, you go, but Satyr does this. I don't know. They could go off for light version. At the very least, he's accessible in comparison, but yeah, but considering all these, yeah, once again, he's overshadowed because he's just like walking in the shadows of some monsters. And even when you're talking about non-seasonals, the non-seasonals, you end up comparing him to Satyr, who is the gold standard right now. This character is how other characters of this kind are judged. Like 15% to everybody's meter at the end of turn for, what, 7 out of 5 turns, or 5 out of 7 turns. All these other things. Benjamin's also permanent, can do Valentine's Monica's job. That's fair. Alright, so anyway, that is where I stand on Adam. There are a lot of people who love that character, and he is playable finally after 6-7 years of waiting. But he's good. Is good enough anymore? We've been talking about how much things have gone. Now, all right, here's my favorite one. There were complaints on Twitter about how practical this character is. It's like practical is not the concern here, because here's Therese. We're going to just do a count of, all right, here's chance of Jackpot when she's almost knocked out. Change number of times. Improve chances there. 6 to 15 hits, so that's a chance of getting anywhere between 6 and 15 hits. And then one of her skills at random ends cooldown when she CAs. She has one of the most clearly focused yet also completely unpredictable kits ever, and that makes me laugh because it's like, all right, you win. You are an Ebuyar's Beak element. 15 hits is ridiculous, which is why they don't give it to you all the time. And it's also a freaking 7-turn cooldown. That ain't worth it. If you're only getting 6 hits, if you get it back every once in a while, that's great. Here comes other things that you do in Wind. You triple attack with with Enmity and Chaser. She eats her health to do it. It's 2 turns of it. It's very much like her fire version. But you want to use this at the same time that you use Polarized Range, which is the signature thing here. This is the one where if you can, you're just going to keep wanting to press this button until the cows come home. You might not even want to press button 1 to actually, no. It just ends the cooldown of any one of them, even if it's on cooldown. You want to keep everything on cooldown so that when you Maelstrom Blaze, she resets it, even if it's because if it was already off of cooldown, it still can be reset to be off cooldown, and so you wasted it. But it's like Polarized Range. Without Jackpot, the numbers on it from Game With are... Where did that go? It was 10% chance to stun herself. It was 10% to stun herself. It was 70% chance to double strike, I think. Let me make sure again. I had the numbers a second ago. Yeah, 10% for stunning herself, 70% for double strike, 15% for triple strike, 5% for quadruple strike. And if you are quadruple striking on the same turn that you are triple attacking with Chaser, then you'll take one of those turns off, those strikes off, in order to CA, which will reset the cooldown of. There's a 2 in 3 chance of it resetting the cooldown of one of these 2 things. And then, you get to roll the dice again. This character will do really funny things in Proving Grounds. Because you're just... What happens in Proving Grounds? You roll dice! She's not going to, make an appearance at the top tables, because the top tables of Proving Grounds and, all of those other globally ranked or individually ranked things, you don't even use an SSR. You use Rs to just press buttons and give you the bonus because your MC does all the work now. But still, it is funny to just fish for the highest damage possible and then retreat. Yeah, your use case for her is I want to do something funny, and this is like the ultimate. Yep, I rolled well. I got my 5% chance, or however many it is with the actual jackpot up. I get to do, let's see, 6 hits per attack on her own before you account for something like neon or something like that. So let's just say that she has 3 chasers. It's very easy to get to 3 chasers. You know, you do something like put her on a team with Summer and Neela, or with Neon and she has a shield on, or something like that. So that is 3 times 4 with 3 chasers. So she has 12 hits per attack. She can do 48 hits in the ideal case. And those are all going to be enhanced by all sorts of things like supplemental damage with your evanescences or your whatever fortitude weapon, creepy claws, or whatever they're or was it? Yeah, I think it. So, I mean, you're here to live a dream. You're here to roll jackpot. Go do it. Just go do it. And before someone figures out how to make her consistent, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. This is not meant to be consistent. I mean, she will try. She will do the Summer Bea thing of going down to red health and just staying there for a while based on her dodge rate. So she's not a suitable sacrifice to get in an evoker or anything like that, because she'll just keep dodging. She's got the like Fire Uesis players will think about. We'll see this every once in a while too, where it's like she refuses to die. Frau won't come out. But you know, sometimes not every character has to move the needle. You know, this is a fairly like medium powered Flash Gala. I personally am okay with that. This one at least lets you dream. Oh, baby. What a dream. She's fun, plenty functional if you take clarity. Yeah, sure. That's so funny. One thing that Reno mentioned is that the weapon, the Zroa Yashana, the old arm, it is Garrison Majesty. It is very solid. We don't need that many garrison weapons, but hey, if you need to have another one and you don't have the other garrison weapons that are all floating around in Earth, then go ahead, put this one on. Nothing wrong with it. It gives you it works with axe voltage, all sorts of other things like that. Because yeah, one of the Earth militises is axe, right? Because it's the Solomon axe and the Solomon, it's Bale axe and Bale gun, I think. Do I have those militises? Inventory. Weapons. Reset. Series. Where are the militis weapons? I can never remember where the militis listing is. Malice, Ancestral, New World. It's on page 1, isn't it? Ultima, Bahamut. There it is. It's always so hard to figure out because they have the same silhouette as everything else. I have 0 of the Earth weapons! Well, there you have it. Anyway. That's it for the characters. Alright. For those of you who were here before the stream started, before the episode started, we were talking a bit about the design of the new Siegfried. We will start instead by talking about the new weapon. So Siegfried's here, and for some reason his weapon's a dagger. Let's just not dwell on that one. It definitely looks like it could have been a katana. However, you know, at this scale, who knows? Alright, Fang of the Dragon Slayer. Coming into this, I predicted that this weapon would be very good purely because it has the Diaspora tier Awakening. Because Awakening on any like a Schrodinger on a what is it, Destruction Blade or whatever it's called, it gives you so much. Like Look at this. It's 55% hit points. That's ridiculous. 15% passive defense. Well, they successfully made one of these things that you should not stack. And it is because it has the Insignia skill, which you may know from the Fire of Prometheus, which is it is a large attack mod, and you take 5% of your health as damage every turn. If you're Sandalphon, it doesn't go through that. Like you still, if I remember right, Death's Grace effects do not help you. They will still deal damage. But yeah, having two of them on is not something that anyone has really been able to make work. Like, I don't know how many people have managed to make the double Fire of Prometheus grid work. But, and then it has an Omega skill. That's a new one to this series. And it has Majesty at the bottom. So it is like Mega Lumi Sword, but it also sets you on fire. And so you don't want to stack more than one of these things. And yeah, we don't know. Like, having an extra 55% HP on this thing while also having Majesty on this thing for even more HP is pretty negated by the fact that you're hitting yourself for 5% of that, which scales with your HP every turn. And healing does not scale the same way. And so I really, really don't know how this is going to be used. You cannot use this in Diaspora. It will kill you in Diaspora, right? Like, you already are on fire in Diaspora permanently, and your healing is already racing that because you're taking more and more damage from the Diaspora effect every turn. Like, I'm not entirely sure where this will find a home. Maybe, probably short fights and attack or special. Like, special mod on this thing is still very good. Special Awakening, Attack Awakening. Like, this thing packs tons and tons of attack. But the problem is there a character who can use that much attack? Because if you're, say, a Galleon player, and you've got your Landslide Scepters and things like that, you are doing way too much damage. Like, if you're playing like Threo and Fiorito, they're doing way too much damage, and they barely need a grid to do it. I feel like you use this to keep Threo in the red. Maybe. Like, maybe this is something that you use to counteract all the healing and incidental healing that you'd get in like a Satyr Threo team. Because Satyr Threo will heal herself out of the red and turn her own passives off. Yeah, in Galleon, I don't see this happening. The Galleon Landslide Scepter land. There's uses. I don't know where it's going to be useful, and I don't think it's ever going to be a 2 of. I am sometimes wrong about these things. I'm often wrong. People aren't here to yell at me when I'm wrong right now. It's just chat. But yeah, I don't feel myself getting more than one of these. Maybe I'll have one set to attack and then one to set to special. Maybe. But I'm definitely not putting this thing on defense. Alright. So I'm going to talk now about the design of the fight itself. Let's see. Ooh, let me just claim this real quick so that I don't have this notification bugging me this whole time. But, so the way that Siegfried works is kind of interesting. So, the number of walls that they're putting up in order to sort of challenge modern Granblue fantasy design is kind of wild. So, the turn 0 of Mugen and the turn 0 of Diaspora straight up kills somebody, right? Does this happen for... It doesn't happen for Siegfried, right? Siegfried doesn't auto-kill anybody who's off element. Otherwise, people would be doing that. The main thing is that Siegfried starts the fight by hitting his Earth skill 3 on you, the Typhon effect. So he goes to 8 dots immediately. Um, they represent him sucking out your meter by putting all of your summons on cooldown, which means Keelan turns off forever, Halmal turns off forever, all the one-time summon effects just turn off forever. Oh, yeah, you take no damage on turn 0. I don't think he auto-kills people. Um, but anyway, I could be wrong. I haven't tried to bring in anybody off element because I need all of those character slots. Um, what we have with Siegfried is that is turn 1, he does that, and then he tries to do all of the damage to your team on that turn 1 because he just unleashes all of that. And so turn 1, as soon as you take a turn, you're getting hit in the face for, what is it, 6 hits of like 5,000% damage or something like that. Then after that, you have a cadence of every 2 turns he puts up an omen, and the omens are step 1. Is it debuff first or is it healing? Is it healing first? Let me go look again, because there's so much going on in this fight, and it's actually really elegant. I kind of enjoy the design, even if it's considered the easiest one of the Diaspora tier so far. So turn 2 is the healing one. Turn 2 is the healing one. You have to hit 3 healing buttons to break the omen, which, by the way, is very awful to try and do and win. Don't do it. People have just decided that it's not worth it. And if you fail that, then he gains 3 buffs. He raises his stacks of things. But also your entire team gets their cooldowns reduced by 1. That part's really cool. But yeah, he gives himself Earth Chaser. He gives himself, I think, 2 stacks of the supplemental damage buff he gains, the stacking one. And he gets attack up and triple attack up. So 3 buffs and 1 stacking mechanic. And so people just let that one go and dispel the buffs that he gives himself. 2 turns later, he puts up one that asks you to press 3 blue buttons. This is the one that is worth the most to break, because if you don't do it, he does 6 hits of damage to everybody at 600%. Gives himself water damage cut, water switch, and debuff resistance up. And then also gives himself 2 stacks of a mechanic that caps the damage per hit you can do to him. And it turns out that Wind is actually really bad at hitting blue buttons. Because the signature things that Wind does, right? Seaphon is 2 yellows and a red. Korwa is 3 yellow. Narmea is 3 yellow. Grimnir does 4 red. Does a red every turn, and every once in a while hits a blue button. Like Astariola doesn't hit buttons at all. Catalia has 3 yellow buttons. And so people have been digging through and going, okay, I need all of these defensive cooldowns on the MC, but I can bring Mist. So that's 1 blue button. And so Neon has 2 of them. Halloween Lich has 1 of them. Enyo has 1 of them. And then after that, you start really digging down into the dregs. Like, Urias has 1 of them. His other one doesn't count because it's a 0-turn cooldown, and 0-turn cooldowns never count for omens or anything that asks for a button press. People thought about trying like Grand Monica and Grand Lisha, and then they quickly discarded that because they only give you 1 of the one that you want. Neon, it turns out, is great in this fight because she has 2 blue buttons, and so you just press one of them, and along with like whoever else you have. Enyo has been doing a lot of work because of all of the buffing that Siegfried does to himself. Um, and also, yeah, she has like a blue skill which is on a 5-turn cooldown, and hey, when you let the healing one go off, it's on a 4-turn cooldown, and that's perfect. That is exactly the cadence that you want. Um, and then, so the thing is that there's 2 different buffs that Siegfried keeps giving himself, and you want him to CA in order to remove some of those buffs from himself. If he gets to 10 and 10, you're just gonna die. Yeah, Rodran, I was gonna bring it to this. There is actually a strategy that uses Goblin Mage purely because she is the only character they can find that has 3 blue skills on short cooldowns. It's kind of beautiful, but also very desperate. Like, how desperate do you need to be to bring the Goblin Mage with you? 7-turn, 8-turn, and 7-turn cooldowns. Well, this is a 7-turner again, I think, once I actually level her to 65. That's really desperate. Do you know who else has 2 blue buttons on short cooldowns? Level 50 Urias? We're not having this conversation. We're not having this conversation, Renault. But anyway, and then the main things that he does is he's trying to keep your cooldown summons on cooldown because he does it again at 50%. And that's it. That's what you have to manage. You have to deal with the fact that he does more damage every turn. You have to deal with the fact that he's trying to make you deal less damage to him every turn. And then every time that he hits 8 dots and there's things that give him extra dots, blah, 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 then you have to use defensive cooldowns or you'll die. And because at 100% and 50% all of your summons are on cooldown, you can't just immediately go, oh, let's Carbuncle loop this. It's like, well, the Carbuncle loop stops at 50% forcibly because all of your Carbuncles are on cooldown again. Yeah, you really, really have to zero out his CAs. I think it's a cool design. I think that the raid is pretty fun, but, you know, as with all content, it has an expiration date, especially since the weapon I don't think people will want more than one of for very long. If you somehow live, it puts all your skills on it puts all of your skills on cooldown. All right. The Grawl, what is it? Graalfang. Let's see. 12 hits up to 6,000% damage. Cannot be dodged. Nullifies all damage cut, so you have to paladin cut it. Other people using phalanx won't work on you. It steals your meter like Manigance. It adds turns to your skill cooldowns. It shortens your buffs. And anybody who dies to that move cannot be resurrected. Ah, I see. But the cost of a mistake is still more forgiving than Diaspora and eating. Yeah. Like, a lot of us have just kept on in that fight with 3 characters. Like, I was able to use Judgment to resurrect a character. It's fun. I like being able to actually fight and, you know, make a mistake and keep going. Alright. That's pretty much it for this week, though, guys. There's a lot of meta commentary we can talk about with, like, the ongoing situation at Twitter. Blue's not here. Blue of Anime FGC News and I have been talking about backup plans and emergency plans. Anyway, we're at the end of our conversation for today. Next week we will have maintenance for new bullets, so we'll have new bullets to talk about. We'll talk about Arcarum Gaiden. Yeah. We'll see you guys then. Jeez. Alright, I just saw that someone has posted a guide to unlink your MobaGay account from Twitter. people were asking about that, I will go ahead and help them out now. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Next week's episode, because of Thanksgiving, will probably be on Black Friday. But yeah, hopefully things are stabilized.